welcome to another episode of MMA Event Preview. This will be episode number 3 in this series for me, and this preview will be for the UFC pay-per-view going on this weekend for UFC 234. This will be going on this weekend on February 9th, 2019, and the main event is for the UFC middleweight championship between Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum. I'm super excited for the card. I know a lot of people are saying the card isn't completely stacked, which I'm okay with. They have a lot of Australian talent on the card, so it's good to see that. I always like seeing fighters from other regions kind of getting a little bit of a spotlight to hopefully break through. But who knows? We always, whenever people say this is going to be like a crappy card or something like that, it turns out to be a crazy card. So hopefully it'll be great. So on today's preview, I'm not going to preview every single fight in the main card, but I'm going to go through the fights that I think are intriguing and the fighters and fights that I'll be keeping an eye out for. So again, thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like my content, as well as if you'd like to see more content moving forward. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, post them down in the comments for me, and let me know what you think about the content. Let me know what you think about the pay-per-view, and if you just want to say hi, say hi. So without further ado, let's move on to my preview for the card. Let's transition on over to the event here. Let's switch over to the main card. So of course, like I said, first fight between Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum. Some notes that I had here. Number one, these are both like great guys. Like Robert Whittaker and Kelvin, like they're just both great guys. Like you can't say a bad thing about them. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard to see a loser come out of this, but I feel like it's still going to be such a great fight. I love both their styles. I love how they both fight. Obviously, Robert Whittaker having to go 5-0, 50 minutes with Yoel Romero just blows my mind. And then some of the fights Kelvin had, stopping a lot of fighters on his path up to a UFC title shot, just it's been great. So I'm really excited for the fight, and some of the things I wanted to mention here is, of course, both these fighters. It's interesting. Both fighters were previous welterweights in their MMA adventure here, and excuse me, they were welterweights in the UFC, and here they are. One is champ, and the other one's attempting to dethrone the champ. So that was pretty interesting. One thing I want to know. Also, I know a lot of people like to dog on the Ultimate Fighter, especially nowadays, but it is still nice to see once in a while a Ultimate Fighter winner, you know, being a champion or possibly fighting for the championship. And in this case, if you don't know, we actually have both fighters, alumni and winners of the Ultimate Fighter, and coaches of the Ultimate Fighter. Robert Whittaker, he won his season of the Ultimate Fighter Smashes. And then Kelvin Gastelum won my favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter, the one that was coached by John Jones and Chael Sonnen. Of course, that has Uriah Hall in it as well. So they both won their respective Ultimate Fighters, and then they both coached a season that just aired a little while ago for this upcoming fight, which was it was an okay season. But either way, they're very intertwined with The Ultimate Fighter, so it's pretty cool to see that. And some of the information I looked up, so both of them, both Kelvin and Robert Whittaker, did not fight in the UFC before the Ultimate Fighter. So they both were introduced in the UFC with the Ultimate Fighter. Now Robert Whittaker, his record was 9-2 going into the Ultimate Fighter, and Kelvin was only 5-0. So Robert was double his experience going to the Ultimate Fighter. And for Robert, his tough finale was on December 2012. Just 4 months later was Kelvin's Ultimate Fighter finale in January, February, March, April 2013. So only 4 months later, they both won their respective Ultimate Fighters and were in the UFC. And then here they are. So that was a lot of the information that I had. Was just a lot around the Ultimate Fighter and just how they're good guys and how it's just a great fight for the middleweight championship. I know a lot of people like to have storyline stuff. I don't think you really need much of a storyline here. These are just two great fighters, two great guys. That's just going to keep it churning in these divisions. I'm tired of these divisions being held up, and this is just another great fight for the middleweight title. So I'm really looking forward to this. Next fight I'm looking forward to is Israel Adesanya fighting Anderson Silva. We all know the Spider, Anderson Silva, and we're all now getting to know Israel Adesanya. This is another middleweight bout. What's interesting here is previously Israel Adesanya was actually asked by the UFC to be a backup. They actually did this previously. They're actually starting to do this more often, it seems. They did that for a previous fight in the welterweight division for Tyron Woodley when he was supposed to fight, I'm forgetting his name, but Kamaru Usman. They asked him to be the backup. So basically they asked Kamaru for him to go through a normal training camp and go through the weight cut for the day of the normal when the fighters are weigh in. And if for some reason the fighter that is challenging the champion doesn't make weight or is unable to fight, Kamaru steps right in and gets his shot. And Till was fighting Woodley, Darren Till. In this situation, the UFC had that same stipulation, came to Israel, said, hey, would you like to have a full camp? We would like you to do that, as well as, and the other thing is they'll pay you for going to that full thing, even if you don't fight. So they came to Israel and asked him for that, if he'd like that opportunity. Israel turned him down. He said, I want to be the guy that's, when I get my shot, I want to be actually training for that fighter. I don't want to train and then not get it, and I can understand that. So he asked for a fight. He said, just give me a fight on that card. And so in steps Anderson Silva. Now, going back to Israel, I tell you what, the hype train's real. I mean, even if you look at these odds, negative 770 for Israel Adesanya, Anderson Silva plus 470. I don't know if I've ever seen Anderson Silva be that much of an underdog. I don't know like the stats off the top of my head, but I don't know. That's crazy to me. But of course the hype train is real for Israel Adesanya. That's why I think he's having the negative 770 for his odds. So again, because I mean, if you look at it, right after Israel and Anderson is going to be the middleweight fight. The middleweight title bout. So if Israel wins that, he's basically getting the next shot. And supposedly the UFC told Anderson if he beats Israel, he'll get the next shot. I don't know if I believe the UFC on that one. Who knows? But that seems like what's going to happen. So very interested in seeing this because, we could possibly see who's going to be fighting next for the title. What else did I want to mention here? Both great fighters, both stand-up fighters. A lot of people like to mention it like you're watching The Matrix when you're watching Anderson, and it's almost the same thing with Israel. Israel fought in Glory before coming into the UFC, which was pretty cool. So I'd like to go back. I haven't done it yet, but I'd like to go watch his fights in Glory since Glory is part of UFC Fight Pass now. I'd like to go watch that, but I haven't gotten around to it. But it's great to have that out there as an option. So I'm excited to watch this fight. If Israel wins this, it's going to be huge. I don't want to say he'll steal Anderson Silva's star power, but it's just going to get like that much bigger. Like you can't not get the guy a shot. The only thing is, I don't want to. It kind of sucks. How do I say this? I really like Israel Adesanya, and I like how he fights, but I feel like we're gonna have that maybe that same issue we had with Darren Till, where we pushed him a little too fast, and once you get up to Woodley, then it's just like bam. Like, not that I'm thinking maybe Robert Whittaker or Calvin Gastelum will have anything for him in the striking department, but maybe in the wrestling or grappling department. I know Israel's been really good about his takedown defense. I really don't think Anderson's gonna be shooting for anything. But I have a feeling Robert Whittaker or Calvin, both amateur wrestlers, would try and shoot on Israel Adesanya. So, I don't know. We'll see. But, and then, man, it'd be interesting if Anderson wins and then he gets the next title shot. Imagine if he wins the title again and then just drops the mic, you know, and then just walks off into the sunset, and that's it. That would be crazy. Okay, so that was that fight, and the last fight I wanted to go over on the main card was actually the very first fight on the main card. We have Jimmy Crute versus Sam Alvey. I thought this was interesting because I looked at their experience, and the experience differential is insane. Sam Alvey, of course, is just a fighting machine, whether you like his style or not. The guy comes to fight, and he's always fighting. If you look at Sam Alvey's record, he's currently 33-11. That's 44 fights. 16 of them are in the UFC. This will be his 17th fight in the UFC. So 44 fights for Sam versus for Jimmy, he has 9 fights. 9 versus 44. I always like to compare those numbers and just think about the experience differential, and just, it's almost like you can't bet against Sam because but granted, you know, everybody likes to say everybody's got a puncher's chance, and it's true. But man, the differential and experience, I have to almost give it to Sam to take this. But Jimmy likes to come out and do the old swang and bang, like his fights. He fought Paul Craig just recently in the UFC, and that was a banger of a fight. And before that, he actually came through Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, which is pretty cool. I don't think we've had a fighter, because I don't think we've had the Contender Series around long enough. I don't think we've had a fighter come through and get a title shot. So it'd be interesting to see if Jimmy Crute can actually get up to that point in his career where he gets a title shot. Or even, maybe not Jimmy Crute, but who would be the first fighter from Contender Series to get a title shot. Anything else here? Oh, this was a quick turnaround for Jimmy Crute. When he fought Paul Craig, that was actually in December. So it's been, what, just 2 months? And here he is, come back and fighting Sam Alvey. And it wasn't like it was a quick fight. I want to say he went to the second round with Paul Craig. So, and then for Sam Alvey, one last thing I want to mention here is he actually lost his last fight to Lil Nog, which was kind of interesting. And I want to say he got TKO'd by Lil Nog. But here he is. Finally, I think it might be one of his first times on a pay-per-view. So that's Jimmy Crute and Sam Alvey. That's the only fights I wanted to go over on the main card. Off to the prelims, I wanted to go over Kai Kara France. He's down here fighting, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Roland Paiva. I'm not too familiar with his name here. But Kai Kara France is who I kind of want to go over. You know, here we have another flyweight bout. You know, we have all these rumors flyweights getting rid of, the flyweight division's going out the wayside, but here we go, another flyweight bout. Super excited for it. Kai Kara France always brings in his fights. What did I want to mention here is experience-wise. Again, I like to look at the differential here. Kai Kara France is only 18-7, whereas Mr. Paiva is only 18-1. So pretty similar experience. Now Kai Kara France is on a 6-fight win streak, whereas Mr. Paiva is actually on a 12-fight win streak. So double his win streak. So there's a lot riding on Paiva to win this fight and kind of work his way up in the flyweight division, assuming it's, you know, kept around. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. I always tune in for Kai Kara France. I always love watching his fights. You know, a lot of people like to think that flyweight fights are boring for some reason, but not Mr. Kai Kara France. Nope, not at all. Okay, so that was that. Next, I want to talk about Teruto Ishihara. He's been around for a little bit. He only has a record of 10-6, not the greatest record, but the thing that stuck out to me when I was kind of looking up some information on him is right now he's on a 2-loss streak, which, you know, okay. But if you look at his last 5 fights, he's 4-1. So he's not doing that bad. You know, he's doing pretty good. And if you look at his record, he has 10 wins. 8 of them are by KO TKO, which, you know, it's pretty good out of his last 10 fights. So right now, you know, I think he's still middle of the pack. I still think he needs some more growing and more experience. He's on a 2-loss streak, so if he loses his fight, he could possibly be cut. But I think Ishihara is pretty good. I think he still trains with Team Alpha Male down in California there. So we'll see how that works out for him. Of course, that's a bantamweight bout. That was the last fight in the prelims. So last portion is the early prelims. I had 2 more fighters I wanted to highlight here. First one was good old Lando Venata. I'm always tuning in. Ever since Lando had that fight against Tony Ferguson, his first fight in the UFC, this crazy MFer takes on Tony Ferguson and almost wins. He almost knocks out Tony Ferguson. Oh, man. And I always tune in for a Lando fight, and I wanted to look up some information on Lando. So Lando's currently 9-3, but man, his recent string of fights, out of his last 6 fights, he has 1 win, 3 losses, and 2 ties or draws, which is crazy. He had like a loss, a draw, and a loss, draw, loss, draw, which is crazy. I never see like multiple draws right next to each other. I'll see maybe 1 or 2 on some of these. Maybe draws are, I feel, are rare, but having draws right next to each other on your record, that's really rare. So that's where Lando sits currently. So he's having a little bit of an up and down. He might be fighting for his spot on the roster as well. We'll see. But I'm always tuning in for Lando, so we'll see how that fight goes. I don't really know much about Marcos there. I'll probably learn more on Saturday when they duke it out, but I'll be tuning in for that as well. Actually, one thing I did know about Marcos, actually, it's his debut fight in the UFC. He didn't go through like Dana White Contender Series or Ultimate Fighter, just a debut fighter into the UFC. So I'll be paying attention to that. And then the last fighter I wanted to mention here was Jalen Turner. It's Jalen? Pretty sure it's Jalen. Jalen Turner. Now, I wanted to mention him because Jalen, I actually remember him from Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. He went through there, and I really liked his fighting style. I really liked the real benefit Jalen has is he fights at lightweight, and he is 6'3". 6'3" at lightweight. It blows my mind. Like how are people at lightweight going to be able to deal with a dude that's 6'3"? It's crazy. So, Mr. Jalen did. So he had his Dana White Contender Series fight. He won that, got into the UFC, but he took I'm pretty sure it was a short notice fight. He stepped up to fight Vincent Luque, and Vincent does not fight at lightweight. So he stepped up. I assume welterweight. I'm pretty sure Vincent is welterweight. I'm not 100%. Don't quote me. But yeah, stepping up to welterweight and fighting him there. And Jalen did not get a win there. He was KO'd by Luque. Vincent Luque is a beast. And stepping up on short notice and trying to take that guy on, you're going to have a rough night. I feel like there's big things coming for Vincent Luque. He's just getting better and better. Again, another Ultimate Fighter alum. And so while Jalen took an L there, here he is back down at lightweight division, and he'll be fighting Callan Potter. So one other interesting thing I wanted to mention about Jalen Turner was, or actually 2 things. One, he actually fought in Bellator twice. It was like once further down on his record and then one further up. I think the one further up was actually right before Contender Series. And then also, he's only been a pro. He had quite a few fights before pro, and of course in his amateur career. But as for a professional, he's only been a pro since 2016. So think about it. We're only in the beginning of 2019, so a full maybe 2 years that he's been fighting, and here he is in the UFC already. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, I'll be tuning into that fight on the early prelims. I think this time around, yeah, so the early prelims are going to be on Fight Pass, the regular prelims will be on ESPN, and then the main card, of course, being on pay-per-view. So that's what we have for this weekend. I'm pretty excited. I'll be staying in. It's been cold out near me. I don't know about you guys, but man, basically I work, come home, and stay indoors. It's just too cold to go out right now where I live. So I'll be indoors in my chair, probably in my recliner in the background there. Let me transition over for you guys. And I'll be chilling, watching these fights, so pretty excited for that. Hope you guys enjoy the fights. I hope they're great. And again, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more content. And leave a comment down below. I don't get very many comments on my videos, so if you guys want to ask me kind of questions, or if you have any kind of comments on my actual content, or are interested in what content I have coming up, I do have a Twitter page that I've been kind of using to post what videos I'm releasing on my YouTube, but I also tweeted out a picture of the calendar of February of the content I'm going to be releasing. And I have a little bit of a packed schedule. I'm hoping I can keep up, but as of right now, everything's going great. I have 2 videos I'm going to be uploading tonight into tomorrow. So the MMA Matchmaker as well as this event preview. So I have that coming that way, and then another packed schedule next week of upcoming content. So with that, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy the fights.